some pretty crazy things. And there is one 13-year-old in particular that stands out. She's one of the most critically acclaimed people of her age, and she's really gone down in history, and this is one of her most famous quotes. "What's in a name? A rose by any other name would be just as sweet. Romeo, you are not your name, so I would urge you to cast it off as you would cast off your own father, for you would still be Romeo, even if that's not what you were called." Now, the 13-year-old that I am referring to you was young Juliet Capulet, but her quote really summarizes the idea that we're going to be discussing in today's speech, that a name really doesn't have that much significance, especially if it is making your life extremely difficult. And the question we're going to be addressing in particular is, should the Washington Redskins change their name? Now, my answer to this question is yes, the Redskins absolutely need to change their name for 3 reasons. 1, it has created a national controversy. 2, their public relations campaign just isn't helping. And then 3, a change won't hurt the team. But before we jump into these points, we need to give a justification for today's question, or why you should even care. After all, I don't know how invested you are in football. I don't know how invested you are in the Washington Redskins in particular. They're not a pretty popular team right now. But the reason why everyone, regardless of their interest in the National Football League, should be invested in the case of the Washington Redskins and the Indians that are standing against this name is twofold. 1, this has direct impact to our relations, not only with the tribes that are causing the controversy over the name Redskins, but with all sovereign Indian nations in the United States of America, because they are all starting to raise awareness about this issue, and they're all starting to cause difficulty, not just for this football team, but for anyone that doesn't directly speak out against this football team. And 2, Native Americans have incredible legal power in the United States. They can make not only life for the Redskins very difficult, but life for everyone, as is proven by the recent $5 billion that is being paid out to Native Americans for damages that have been brought against them by people that, as the New York Times stated, don't understand why their actions are being called into question and why they have to pay out these lawsuits. So everyone should be invested in anything that the Native Americans start to take very seriously, because it is an issue of national importance. So let's jump right into the first point, talking about the national controversy that is going on right now over the name Washington Redskins. Al Jazeera explains that NFL spokesman Brian McCarthy says that the NFL Council will be meeting with members in particular of the Oneida tribe, who started the movement when the 2013 football season began, claiming that the name Redskins was a racial slur that needed to be removed from the National Football League. The Associated Press backed this idea up when they quoted U.S. Representative Betty McCollum from Minnesota, when she stated that the Redskins were promoting a racial slur by using this phraseology for their team, and they needed to remove it. NBC Sports stated, "This is an insult. This is a slur. This is inexcusable behavior, and we hope that all supporters of the Redskins withdraw not only their support of the team, but any money that they might be dedicating to anyone that would so willingly support something that is just as bad as the N-word that has been removed from popular culture." And then the Military Times explained that this scandal has gone all the way up to the top of the food chain, and that President Obama has made 6 different references to the Redskins' names in 5 different speeches, calling for the owner of the team to change the name, because it is a racial slur, and it is something that Native Americans, not just in the Oneida tribe, but in 20 different tribes, are all calling for change. This has created a national scandal for the Washington Redskins, and according to ESPN, this is the first football scandal of its kind. This is really the first time we've seen so many different people gather up against a National Football League team and say, you need to change the way that your team works. So that's the biggest reason why the Washington Redskins absolutely need to change their name. But another reason why the change needs to happen is that their public relations campaign just isn't working. They're not able to fix the problem with the steps that they're currently taking.
During the championship games in the NFL, which led up to the final 4 teams, the Washington Redskins actually performed what many consider to be a very progressive move on their public relations campaign. And the New York Times explained how this happened when they explained that tribal members of the Navajo Nation that helped America in World War II, in particular on the talking teams where they used Indian code that only Native Americans understood in order to relay messages from one tribe to another to help get messages across without spies being able to intercept them, were all awarded special medals and were recognized by both the National Football League and the Washington Redskins as heroes. So that's one step that they made to try and repair relations with Native Americans. But the fact of the matter is, the struggle over the name Washington Redskins is a 30-year struggle that isn't going away, according to the Union Tribune. When they explained the history of the name, the Washington Redskins were originally known as the Braves, but in 1933, they changed their name to the Redskins, and they created for themselves a new marching theme and a new image. Now, attorney Lenny Davis stated that the marching theme, Hail to the Redskins, has had the phrases "scalp 'em" and "we want heaps more" removed from the lyrics, but it is still considered extremely offensive, and the changes and the steps that the Redskins have made are not enough to stop the 30-year struggle for them to stop being racially insensitive to Native Americans. But perhaps the easiest reason why they need to change their name is that change won't hurt them. D'Angelo Hall, the defensive back of the Washington Redskins, told the Washington Post that change needs to happen and he will still play for his team no matter what they're called. And the Huffington Post stated in 2 different articles that they are losing public support and that several different news stations have now stopped circulating stories about the Redskins just because of their name. So the change needs to happen because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. What's in a name? Nothing. Because you're not your name. But the Redskins have become their name because they are being insensitive to the wishes of the Native Americans, and that's why they absolutely need to drop the moniker. Thank you.